Can the delivery of BMP-2 Bradley infantry fighting vehicles become a magic pill for the Ukrainian army? How and for what will they be used? What challenges does this gesture of support from the US bring for the Ukrainian armed forces? In this video, we will compare Russian infantry fighting vehicles BMP-2 and BMP-3 with the M2 Bradley that the West transferred to Ukraine. We will compare based on main characteristics such as shooting accuracy, dimensions, armor, crew size, projectiles, battle experience, maneuverability, and mobility. We will also talk about the probable tactics of using Bradley infantry fighting vehicles by Ukraine. However, first, a brief introduction. At one of the meetings of Ukraine's allies in the Ramstein format, it became known that Ukraine would receive BMP-2 Bradley infantry fighting vehicles from its allies. The Bradley, which is nicknamed the tank killer by the people, has been in service with the U.S. Army since 1981 and has undergone numerous modernizations, including the M2A2 odds, M2A3, and M2A4 versions. The M2 Bradley is an infantry fighting vehicle developed in the United States in the late 1970s to replace the outdated DIM-113 armored personnel carrier. When designing this vehicle, the Americans took into account the experience of using Soviet BMP-1s in several wars and were guided by the German Marder. Previously, the U.S. did not have its own infantry fighting vehicles, only armored personnel carriers. And to this day, the Bradley remains essentially the only fully featured infantry fighting vehicle in the U.S. Army's arsenal. The M2 Bradley was adopted by the U.S. Army in 1981. From 1980 to 1989, the American industry produced about 9,800 vehicles, which subsequently underwent several stages of modernization. Americans actively used these infantry fighting vehicles during 2 campaigns on the territory of Iraq, as well as in Afghanistan. The American Bradley has a classic infantry fighting vehicle layout. The engine and transmission are located at the front, and the troop compartment is located at the rear. The crew consists of 3 people. Most versions of this vehicle are capable of carrying up to 6 infantrymen in the troop compartment, but the M2A3 version is designed to accommodate 7 infantrymen. The Bradley infantry fighting vehicle's hull is welded and made of aluminum armor plates. Some modifications have combined armor on the front and sides with an external steel screen, an aluminum armor body, and polyurethane foam between them. The bottom is reinforced with additional steel plates to protect against mines. Pentagon spokesperson Pat Ryder stated that the Bradley has both offensive and defensive capabilities. According to him, they provide a level of firepower and armor that will give Ukraine an advantage on the battlefield. What can Russia counter Bradley? The Russian army has relatively good analogs BMP-1 and Bosormatin and BMP-3, but their numbers are very small and constantly decreasing. As of February 2nd, according to the General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, 6,382 Russian BMPs had been destroyed in Ukraine. Now we will compare Bradley to the BMP-3. According to the 1990 Treaty on Conventional Armed Forces, an infantry fighting vehicle is an armored combat vehicle designed and equipped primarily to transport a combat infantry squad, armed with an integral or organic cannon of at least 20 mm caliber and sometimes an anti-tank missile launcher. To determine which IFV is better, we will examine their performance, fire control system, and firepower. The Bradley is powered by an 8-cylinder diesel engine producing 600 horsepower and 1660 Nm of torque, providing excellent power for climbing steep and rough terrain. Its top speed is 41 miles per hour. 25 miles per hour off-road, and 4.5 miles per hour in amphibious mode. The Bradley weighs around 31 tons when combat loaded and has an operational range of 300 miles. In comparison, the BMP-3's engine is located at the back of the vehicle, giving it a better power-to-weight ratio. The engine generates 500 horsepower and can propel the vehicle to a top speed of 45 miles per hour, 28 miles per hour off-road, and 6 miles per hour in amphibious mode. The BMP-3 weighs approximately 22 tons and has an operational range of 370 miles. The vehicle's hull is reinforced with steel plates to protect against mines and ice, and it also features an advanced composite armor protection system for enhanced survivability. Both IFs are equipped with the latest fire control systems and optics. The M2 Bradley is installed with a forward-looking infrared and electro-optical thermal imaging system, allowing for enhanced situational awareness. Its 25mm Bushmaster chain gun is its primary weapon, and it can engage heavier targets with its Stow-2 missile system. The BMP-3, on the other hand, features a 100mm semi-automatic rifled gun as its primary weapon, which is capable of penetrating 600mm thick armor tanks and low-flying targets from a distance of 2.5 mx. The IFV is also armed with a 7.62mm coaxial machine gun and two 7.62mm bow machine guns. In summary, both IFs have their strengths and weaknesses. The M2 Bradley has excellent power and mobility, while the BMP-3 has better power-to-weight ratio and enhanced survivability. The Bradley is armed with a potent combination of a 25mm chain gun and TOW missiles, while the BMP-3's 100mm gun can penetrate thick armor. Ultimately, which IFV is better depends on the specific needs and requirements of the user. Currently, the main infantry fighting vehicle used by the occupiers is the light and unreliable 2BP. Prior to a full-scale invasion, Russia had about 1,500 BMP-2s in storage. But for some reason, the occupiers are not in a hurry to import reinforcements from their own stocks. Russia covers the deficit by replenishing its supplies by stripping its allies in Belarus. From there, the Russians have already exported almost all similar vehicles. The only one, but dubious advantage of the BMP-2 over the Bradley is the ability to overcome water obstacles by swimming. At the same time, the BMP-2 has weak armor, as confirmed by the combat actions in Ukraine. In November 2022, Ukrainian military showed a downed BMP-2 near Kherson, on which the occupiers installed a rare set of protection, the 675 SB-3 KDZ. The Russians began to strengthen the protection of their BMP-2 as early as the summer, as evidenced by photos from the front. The Russians developed sets of 675 SB-3 KDZ to strengthen the protection of their BMP-2 against the fire of large-caliber machine guns and anti-tank flamethrowers. As Defense Express writes, the Russian protection for the BMP is a set of polymer grids that should be attached to the armor of the vehicle. Technical characteristics of the BMP-2: length 22 feet, weight 14 tons, width 103 feet, height 8 feet. Crew 3 plus 7 people, maximum speed 40 miles per hour on the highway, 28 miles per hour off-road, 4 miles per hour on water, range 230 miles on the highway, fuel tank capacity 662 liters, power 300 HP. Here it should be mentioned that during the war with Iraq, the Bradley APC knocked out more Iraqi tanks than the famous Abrams, which so far Ukraine has only been promised. However, it should still be remembered that the Bradley is a machine created in the 70s and it began to become morally obsolete 20 years ago. There are opinions that the American machine can hardly compete in a direct duel against the Russian BMP-3, especially in its most lethal modifications. However, such machines are very few in Russia. In recent years, there has been a lot of talk in America about the need to transition the Army to a new generation of BMPs. And U.S. military corporations are trying to develop their concepts to offer them to the Pentagon. Interestingly, with the start of full-scale Russian invasion of Ukraine, American weapon manufacturers rushed to make changes to their new BMP projects, based on the experience of the ongoing war. Since the Bradley has gone through many modifications, it is not clear which version Ukraine will receive. Most likely it will be the M2A3, the so-called digital BMP, equipped with the latest American military technology. This is all for today. You can support our team by subscribing and hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. We'll be back with more updates and information. Thanks for watching.